Greetings, everyone. It is I, Ron. Hello, hello, wild and weirdos and weirdettes out there. I'm not sure where anyone's at. Apparently, aliens. But I have a new co-host setting in this evening, and Angie Breeden is going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about some spooky stuff, and we're going to be going over a little preview of something that we did a little earlier this week, right, Angie?
Yep, that's right. Phone calls.
Yeah, yeah, we got a really cool episode. Yeah, it's a really cool episode. So let me go over here and do Joe's job until he gets here. And he will be with us, so don't worry. Everybody, as of right now, let's get this thing shared out to as many people as possible, and let's keep get them piled in. We got some interesting news to share with you guys tonight. Got some cool stuff going on. Looks like Adam Good is here. We have Bigfoot, Littlefoot in the house. We have Shane Lorison. Pat's here. Ada's here. Spooky Appalachia. Larry Host is here, and so far that's all we have. Oh wait, here's DZ505 just popped in. Welcome, DZ. Hello, hello, hello. Anita, there we go. Now we got our people coming in. Everybody get it shared out, and let's get some people in here. This is going to be a really cool episode. We got some spooky stuff to talk about. Dark Square Bishop made it in. Hello, Dark Square. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We did have to delay the show just a little bit tonight. We're an hour behind, and we had to do that because we had some previous engagement that had to be done. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that a little bit when Joe gets here, though. I don't want to ruin anything for anyone. And like Pat said, right now, everybody just take the time, smash that like button. Smash the like button and make sure that, you know, if you're not subscribed, subscribe and get it out there to at least one friend and try to get them to come on board with us. We're growing this community as big as we can, and bigger the better. Where is my ticker? All right, here's my ticker. I'm going to read off the names like we do every week here for every one of you guys who have supported the show, every single one of you. Adam Good, Teresa's Haunted Histories, Tri-State, Dewey Edwards, Spooky Appalachia, Larry Host, Guitars and Chains, Craig, Travis Rednick, Jeffrey Steele, Russ Bailey, Chris Coots, Ada Cox, Nancy White, Scott Holbrook, Bigfoot, Littlefoot, Tommy Swigger, and Terry Summerfield. These are the people who make this show possible for you guys. So everyone, just give them a big round of applause and a thank you, because, you know, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So huge thanks to everybody. And those are our super chatters and super sticker guys out there who make this thing keep going. So at some point during the show, if you find that you really like what's going on, you know, feel free to drop a $5 in or whatever. We will definitely take it from you. It helps to keep the lights on, so to speak. I'm going to go back here and welcome some more people in. Linda. Hello, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Linda's here, everyone. Linda Sigmund is here. Very awesome individual right here. And we found out, I confirmed some stuff with Linda this week that was just mind-blowing and put everything back into full circle with me, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too, which is just fantastic. Shane Lauriston's here. I'm sorry about that. Trying to talk as fast as I can. So just got out of the woods to let you guys know. We were out there doing something with someone, and you'll get to see that soon. Hopefully everything will be revealed shortly. We'll be able to talk about that. But we had some very interesting things happen while we were out there, and I want to wait till Joe gets here to tell you guys about it. Believe me, you want to hear this. It's pretty awesome. Did anyone get to see Starlink tonight, by the way? We got to see that while we were out there. It kind of freaked me out at first, but then I figured out it was Starlink, thanks to Joe. Well, actually, thanks to the trajectory, because nothing acts like Starlink. Okay, anyway. Did you find Bigfoot in the woods? I can neither confirm nor deny that statement or question, whichever you prefer, Pat. Just going to pass that up as of right now, and we'll address that later. Okay. Angie, like I said, joined us for the pre-recorded regular podcast version of the show, which will be airing tomorrow at 8 o'clock p.m. You do not want to miss this because it's a mind blower. It really is, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to exaggerate that. This one has some stuff in it that you probably haven't heard before, and it's going to make you really think, don't you think, Angie?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a
So what?
fascinating topic.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree. And tonight, Angie's going to be trying to scare you guys.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, that's going to be coming up. So be prepared for that when we do the spooky story time. She's going to be reading some stuff for us. I don't even know what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's
Oh, I'm
probably
not
scary.
reading it. I'm going to tell y'all the
Oh,
story.
good Lord. It's going to be even more, it's going to be even more horrifying. I love that. That's even better. Love it. All right. Well, what is it? Note Ron's mib language. You funny. Shout out to Tony, by the way. I got to actually hear him sing at Mysticon for the very first time, and mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. If anyone gets a chance to hear Tony sing Dark Square Bishop, if you anyone gets to hear them perform, go. It's gonna you're not gonna believe what you hear
Yeah,
because
he's amazing. I
he
cannot
is
confirm
amazing.
or deny that that voice may or may not be why we're married, but
I
yeah.
can't believe that. I mean, the vocal, he knows how to control the mic.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat, I'm like, oh my God, if I'd have had this guy back when we were, wait, Ada Cox,
Yeah, yeah.
1999. Yes, Ada, guess what you get? You get a brand new animation made
Um,
just for this show.
oh,
see, see, it's not a normal Sky Daddy, but come on, I know that's what you want, so.
it
There
never
you
gets
go.
old.
It never gets old. It never gets old. And someone asked me not too long ago. They said, "Hey, do you have to pay to get that to happen?" I'm like, "No, but it helps." Thank you, Ada. Thank you so much. Um, but yeah, I was the vocal tone from this guy is just amazing. I'm like, oh my God, if I would have had him back in the studio, I'd
Mhm.
probably still be playing. But yeah, still amazed by that. Just incredible. What else we got here? I'm going to pop that up there because that's awesome. uh, Anita said, I can't do that anymore. I don't scare easy anymore. Some of my cat stories are boring. Some of my scary stories are boring. Well, sometimes what isn't scary to one is scary to another.
Then I'm
So
gonna make it my mission tonight to try to scare you.
there
I'll
you
do my
go. That is your mission. Yes, exactly. Let's see. Saint Spooky. Yeah. Yes. Apparently everyone likes the ghost. Okay. Cool. 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 Uh, Don't believe him. I sing in a flat monotone. Okay. Boon forward. Ah, miss you, Ron. I see you at Crypticon. Yes. Yes. You'll see me at Crypticon. Yes. Absolutely. And Boone, it would be cool to get you back out in the woods. Stick around because we're going to tell a little story when Joe gets on here, and you're going to want to hear it. Uh,
Well,
Ron and Tony Music Project win.
yeah, he awesome.
Hey, Bigfoot, Littlefoot, Walmart is the scariest place within 20 miles of my house. There you go. I've been there.
Mhm.
You guys remember, for real, do you guys remember going into Walmart back when it stayed open 24 hours, right? If you were ever there, at around 2:30 to 3 o'clock in the morning. That place, That's what convinced me of alternate realities and multiple dimensions.
Yeah, you would definitely see some shit. I had some friends that like that was their weekend thing was to
Yeah,
go to Walmart at like 2 a.m. Like they would stay up just
same.
to go and
Yeah.
see what would happen.
Yes. Yes. And the stuff that was happening, I'm telling
Mhm.
you, that's the other side of the veil. I mean, you could,
Yeah.
yeah, there's
We
some
we
weird
really
stuff.
lost something when Walmart stopped being open 24 hours.
I know. I know. We lost a lot of things to make fun of. We lost a lot of potential new cryptids because, some of the stuff that happened in there, they had to be cryptids. I'm telling you, there had to be shapeshifters walking around at 3 o'clock
Oh,
in the morning at Walmart. What we got? Oh, I'm not as fast as Joe, so y'all bear with me, okay? I heard a story about a haunted Walmart the other day. People caught poltergeist activity on camera. Dude, no, that's a normal Walmart. That's just normal. I'm telling you, it's just normal. Need my first Bigfoot encounter was when it was half frozen out, so temperatures mean nothing.
yeah.
Nita, you're challenging. I like it. I like it. Pabs, I'm not scared of Walmart, just zombies that live there. Yeah, right. Right. Boone, what about the Black Fridays at Walmart back in the day? Yeah, those were epic. Those were absolutely epic. The floor cleaning robot.
It is unnerving, Linda. It is.
Yeah, yeah. So many unemployed aliens. You're
No.
so. Oh, that's so true. Okay, okay. So, you guys, if you got any questions, any spooky stories, any accounts, I want to hear them tonight. We want to hear them tonight. I'll tell you what. I'll give you. We're going to do this. Let's talk a little bit about the episode we just did
Okay.
first, okay? Because that's going to help these guys out a little bit. We just did an episode because I got to see her presentation that she did at the paranormal discussion group, and it was on phone calls from the dead. Now, I know the subject, but it's just like in passing. I read about them every now and again because you have tons and tons of books. You're going to find those things every now and again, and you're going to hear stories, and you're going to have your own, little take on what this could mean and whatnot. But never had I really heard that many of these stories, and I never really looked into it because I never really thought that this was a real thing. Um, other than it just being ITC, instrumental transcommunication of some sort. Because we had people who used to do this with, remember they used to do them with the old video cameras. They would try to do ITCs with that, where they would take it and put it point it at the old TV and make the infinity thing, and they'd swear they'd see faces in it, and this was a big thing back then. And so I just didn't really look into the possibility of, I mean, a ghost or whatever making a phone call. That sounds absolutely like, okay, it's a one-off story,
Mhm.
but it's not.
It's actually really common.
It's
There's
extremely
so
common.
many accounts out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So why don't you do a real quick, just this is a preview for you guys. We're not going to do the whole show, okay? But this is a preview for you guys of what you're going to get tomorrow. Um, but I want you to explain to them what that actually is, what the phone calls from the dead actually is. And it literally is kind of what we're saying, I think, literal.
Yeah.
So
So,
go
so
ahead.
phone calls from the dead. It's a fascinating phenomenon that has been going on pretty much as long as we've had phones. And what we discuss in the episode, we discuss kind of the history of how the book Phone Calls from the Dead came around, some other books, and different places that you can learn more about this subject. And I have some examples. I have quite a few, I think, stories in their accounts of phone calls from the dead that have occurred. And we also discuss kind of the bigger questions of what are phone calls from the dead? What actually is happening when this phenomena occurs, and what does it mean? Is that enough?
So
You want more?
no, no. So my thing is, like you said, this is common.
Mhm.
Right? And we even got, I mean, Brandon remembered one, it's kind of weird event. You've had them. I had a weird phone type thing happen during a, that could be related somehow to something like that, maybe. Who knows? But how many of you guys out there have heard of it or experienced one of these phone calls, one of these phone calls from a spirit of, maybe someone who just recently passed, or something to that nature?
Can I speak to one of the comments, Anita?
Please do. Yeah,
Do you see the comment? They left the phone booth up in.
let me find it.
Say that. I don't
Where's
want
it
to say.
at? This one, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
I
Go ahead.
believe the thing that you're referring to, I believe they translated it to wind phone, if I'm not mistaken, that particular phone.
I kind of remember something about that.
Yeah, I've read about it. It's been a while since I read about that, so hopefully I'm not wrong. But I mean, I can Google it later. But I think they called it. I think it was called a wind phone, and I think they actually made an art installation of that somewhere. It's up in like the northeast of the United States. I can't remember where it is. Hi, Joe.
Hey,
Joseph
sorry I'm late.
has
There was a
made
wreck
it.
on Route 60.
You made it. You're good. You're good. I've teased some of the stuff that just happened, but I haven't told them anything, about what we were actually doing. Just that we were in the woods and some weird stuff happened, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Right now, we're giving a preview of the upcoming episode for tomorrow night. So I'm letting her touch on the phone calls from the dead subject, and we're asking people if they've had their own experiences with this or anything close to it. That's where we're at right now. So I brought you up to speed.
Right on.
Okay, let me hear you, Joe, real quick.
Check, check, check.
Take your volume up just a tiny bit for me, please.
Check, check, check.
Much better. Can you guys hear him okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right, Joe, you're running the board, so let's get him up there. All right. So, how many of you guys have? Okay, so how many of you heard of it? First of all, there's Linda. I've heard what sound like a voice coming from my washing machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought that was the name, but that's also what we called the secure lot. Wait a minute. You're going too fast, Joe.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. You're fine. Pull up that last one there. What Tommy say? Or are you going to go in order?
Oh, I can jump onto Tommy's if you want, if you're ready.
No, just go in order. You're fine. Go in order. Because he's coming up after that. So just go in order.
All right, here's Tommy's.
Okay. My mother had a phone call from Mothman, but I'm pretty certain it was a demon. It described what everyone was doing in our house at the exact moment we were doing weird and freaky.
Wow.
It is unnerving. Yeah.
That'd be weird and freaky, Tommy. That'd be weird and freaky. Yeah, so Linda said when it was running. She's talking about the machine when it would make the sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not saying that's what it is, because believe me, I've seen enough weird stuff and heard enough weird stuff to not rule anything out. But I have, and I don't know if you guys know it or not, but I've had a little thing about having aquariums all my life, and if you let an aquarium run low,
Oh yeah,
it makes some interesting white noise, doesn't it, Joe?
it does. I mean, it becomes a babbling brook.
It becomes a babbling brook, yeah. And in that babbling brook, every now and again, if you're sitting there, I swear to goodness, it sounds like somebody talking. Sometimes you think you're hearing voice. So who knows? Maybe that's also how it works. Maybe that's the medium.
Linda said, "I have fish."
I have fish.
Yep.
See, we have a lot more in common than just Mothman. So, yeah, that was the other little thing that people, I've been telling my little Mothman story for years, right? So we have a good audience now, so we'll go ahead and tell this because it's awesome. We got to finish the story out and come full circle, finally. I remember being at a show. I'm going to tell you the way that I've been telling it for years, and then we're going to fill it in. I remember being at a show and someone picking up one of my paintings and looking at me and saying, "You've seen it." and me turning around and saying, well, I've seen something. Now, I remembered enough about that person. This has been a while back. This is, what was it, like
It was OBC of
2018 or 2019?
2018, I think.
Is it 18 or 19?
Yeah.
And
It was 18.
it was 18. Okay.
Yep.
So I remembered that energy. I remembered, and what's really funny is Linda comes into Mysticon this weekend. Now she was going to go somewhere else. And she said, well, this looks like a lot of fun. I'm going to come down there and talk to you guys and whatnot. So, which was amazing. But as soon as she walked through the door, I was like, oh my God, I think that's her. And I told Maria, and she's like, you think? I'm like, I feel, yeah, I think so, And I told Joe, and he's like, well, you got to find out. You got to find out. So I asked her, and yes, in fact, that is who put the suggestion into my head that, hey,
Okay,
Mothman,
so that was Linda?
yes, Mothman
Okay.
doesn't always have red eyes, because that was my big hang up. I was like, well, I can't call that thing Mothman that I saw. But I described how it flew and whatnot. And she's like, oh yeah, that's exactly how this thing does. And so, yeah, that's who it was. So there's some more validation for us after all these years. This is how these validations still work. That's why I say we need to keep these stories going. We need to get everybody to, be comfortable telling these stories. We have a problem picking up a radio station on our landline. We had to switch to cell because of it. It's a religious channel, so you get hellfire and damnation going through our conversations. This would be great. We would love that.
Repent.
That would be so hilarious. We would record those, and you guys would get to see and hear, you get to hear every one of them. I might even animate them. I mean, it could happen. Absolutely. Yeah, Linda, I didn't see the eyes. See, right down there. I know Joe and Ron, so since the show's going now, we need a good introduction as to who the guest is, backstory, how she's involved. No, she is
You get
a
nothing,
special.
Boone. Nothing.
No.
The mystery.
So we were a little late starting the show today because we were out and about doing some stuff. It was scheduled stuff, and then weird stuff happened, of course, which was just again selected for a reason. But anyway, who we have with us is Angie Breeden. She's also the guest host for tomorrow's show that is pre-recorded. And we wanted to have
mind-blowing show.
Right. We wanted to have her on tonight as a primer for that episode and to get some of your all stories.
Yeah, I wanted to hear some of the live, get some of this live. Like if you guys have seen anything, there you go, right there. Didn't see the eyes. Yep, exactly. And when she said that, mine didn't either. I'm like, well, okay. And then went home. Here's the rest of the story, Linda. I went home and I told Maria, you know what? That thing we seen like 20 some years ago, I met a lady today who said, Mothman don't always have red eyes. And, maybe that was related somehow. And she looks at me and she says, well, you think? Like that, almost like, well, yeah, I mean, you should have known that. And, I am probably one of the slowest researchers you'll ever find. I can help someone else's with their problem. Absolutely can help someone else with their problem. But if I see something, it's like I'll forget something very important, or I'll overlook it, and it'll take someone like Joe or Maria to come up to me and say, hey, dummy, did you think this? And then it'll all be like, oh. But yeah, that's how that story started. That was, and that's kind of what got us out there on the road and got us to talk about it, or got me to talk about it anyway.
So Anita's saying it was bad enough to kick the answering machine multiple times. The copper on the pipes in the basement act as an antenna and signal jumps to the phone line.
How cool is that? I remember we used to play up on 18th Street Hill when the band would play up there in an old trailer. and Rude had this tube amp that we had set up. Well, we were recording one night, and I don't know, must have just been perfect, but we started hearing this sound, these voices coming through. I'm like, what in the world is that? And almost exactly like what she's saying. We started getting these radio stations coming through the old amp, like, because I guess we're up on top of the hill, metal trailer, just the right frequency coming through there. And but yeah, we couldn't record that night. That's what I'm trying to tell you, because we kept getting all this radio static and interference. And now I'm thinking, man, I would like to have that as a sound effect now.
The only time we ever had issue with that when we were playing, and it wasn't with any of the instruments, we always had wireless mics. And
Lucky.
if we were in an area at a high altitude, we would snag radio signals coming across like actual radio band, and it would turn into a mess.
Now, what Linda's saying there, that used to be a common thing.
It did.
Yeah.
Tooth fillings used to be made of metal. They're not so frequently anymore. They use a lot of porcelain or epoxies to do teeth anymore.
Yeah. But that used to be a common occurrence, that people would hear the radio sounds in their heads and whatnot.
Pat says we all discount our own experiences, and that's why we need each other to bounce our experiences off of.
100%. That's what this is all about. That's what the show is so great, in my opinion. It's these clown. Okay, so let's try to figure out how we're going to tell this story without telling too much of a story.
About tonight?
Yeah. About what we're doing, no, but about...
All right, so we won't tell...
Yeah, because we want to surprise some people, right?
Yeah, we won't tell who we were with.
Okay, that works.
That will eliminate a lot of it.
Yes.
But we were out conducting an interview. And while we were conducting said interview, it was in a place where there had been a lot of previous activity. And I tell my wife, and she thinks I'm nuts, or not nuts. She's actually starting to think it.
You are nuts, though. Let's put this on record and make sure you are nuts. But not
there
like
are
this.
times when we go do stuff, and it's almost like I can feel that it's getting ready to happen. And so I packed up some of the stuff and I was taking it over and putting it in the truck. And it's almost like the light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, it's getting ready to start. It's getting ready to start. And then sure enough, at the time they were over there talking still. I hear some coyotes pick up. And I'm like, yep, it's that time of night. It's time. Let's see what happens. So I'm standing there and I just listen. I can hear them over in the background talking. And because they weren't that far away. It was maybe only about 50, 60 feet. And I'm standing there and I'm listening to the dogs go. And then they stop. And then I can hear something going. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, I got to get their attention.
No, we heard it, but we thought that
it was somebody talking.
We thought it was somebody yelling at their dogs or something. So, and then I don't know, how many times did you hear it? Because we heard it multiple times.
Oh, it was multiple times, but
before we come over,
the very first one that I heard before I started calling you to me, I heard the chatter, and that's when I started hushing you guys, saying and pointing at my ear, and then the direction, ear in the direction, ear in direction, and then you guys, the conversation got quiet. And I was like, okay. And then it kind of calmed down a little bit. There wasn't as much noise. There were a few coyote yips in the background. And then all of a sudden again.
But let's make this clear. It was not that low.
No.
This
It was
the
loud.
Loudest.
It was loud. It was like,
it really was. It sounded like an old
samurai
drunk
chatter.
man.
Yeah, Linda, you're exactly right.
Yeah, it was Linda. That's exactly what it was.
It was exactly the samurai chatter. And so at that point, I start walking towards it. Ron and our two guests were still over there, and like they're giving me space just to listen at this point, I think. Like, I'm not sure why they stopped where they stopped, but they stopped. And then
We
I
were
start
listening.
signaling
We
them
could
to
still
me. I start
hear it.
snapping and pointing towards me.
We could still hear it.
Yeah.
That's why we stopped, because when we stopped, I was like, wait a minute. Because at first I thought that's some old inebriated drunk guy over there screaming at his dogs, because that's what it sounded like. Like, that's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
And it was loud. And I heard it that second time, and I'm like, that's not a person. And about that time, that's when you did your snap, and we were like, yeah, let's go. So we got on up there, and then
it got closer.
Yeah, it seemed to get closer. I turned off my light, and we got it. It really did seem to get closer, and you could also hear off in the distance at one point what sounded like just a prolonged howl, like
but it was bad. Like it dropped. It had like a
oh yeah. Because that's when I looked over at her, and she looks at me, and she's like, her eyes were as big as saucers at that point.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, that's real. And I'm like, now did everybody hear that talking sound? Oh yeah, I heard it. I heard every single one of us heard that.
Yep.
We had it validated. Every single one of us heard it. The worst part is cameras were not rolling when we heard that.
That's fine though.
I know.
I know that we're like, I was thinking about this the whole way home, and
it wasn't for that.
The worst part is, man, I think the best part is that the cameras weren't rolling when this happened, because we had a skeptic with us.
Yeah, that's true.
We had her who was interested.
Yeah.
And then the two of us.
Named. Yes.
And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I have gone back to this exact location at least 60 times, hoping to catch that again. Okay, this is somewhere, there's your hint. This is somewhere we have been before. I've been there at minimum 60 times.
Yeah.
Because, I worked there for a while, and I would go there every night, and I would wait, and I would wait, and I would wait, and nothing. And Ron and I and Dave, Ron and Dave have all gone out, and we waited, and we were there for hours, and we waited, nothing. And then tonight, we're out there. It set off, man. And I hate saying it like that, because, man, like, it sounds like now we're like all those other internet researchers and stuff. It's like, oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? But no, like, it was great.
It wasn't really like you hear that. It's like, you heard that, right?
Yeah. Well, for me and you, because we've heard it before. Yeah. We know what it is. We know what's getting ready to happen.
Her exact words were, no way. I'm like,
yeah,
that's it.
And for me, like, I know everybody in internet land is like, oh, you all should have had the camera. Y'all know better. Y'all know. Yeah, we do know better. But this beautiful part this stage in the game,
we were not investigating.
We weren't investigating. At this stage in the game, though, man, like, I'm totally fine with it.
I know. I'm starting to understand what Glenn was saying.
Yeah, exactly. The encounter happened.
I'm really starting to get it.
It was just
magical. That's the word you're trying to look for, I think.
Yeah, it was so good.
It was something.
So Linda says, samurai chatter. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
A friend of mine heard in the backyard, kind of like grumpy porcupines. Linda said, yeah, like wild pigs. Bigfoot screaming at his coyote dog. Yeah, the coyotes were actually quite a bit farther away than what the big.
You could tell them too. Yeah, but
it was. You could tell by the audio. It was way far off.
The other part of the data was very interesting was when a car drove by.
Yes, the car. Okay, so a car started to approach. Right, as soon as the car got to where I suspected this sound was coming from, it shut up, and it didn't start until about 3 minutes after that car was gone. It didn't make another peep. And by that point, we were already we were like, okay, look, we got to get back. We got to get the live show. We got to get this. And again, this is an area that we've collected a ton of data out of. We've experienced this stuff here. We know it happens. We know what's going on. Like, it's not a well that we can't go back and hit again. And so, like, we were like, yeah, well, we're now that accustomed to weird things happening. We're like, yeah, we got to go back and get the live show going, guys.
Also had enough people there.
How
It was
crazy is that?
really, really good intent. You know,
Yeah.
and let's go right there. I'm going right there because I'm telling you, Glenn, we can't laugh at his research. That's for sure.
Well, Glenn, now I know where we're taking Glenn.
Right.
I know exactly what holler to take him up now.
Yeah.
So what did Sky Daddy think it was? Sky Daddy thought it was Sam Squatch. But yeah, guys, it was for real. It was a really, really interesting
amazing
encounter, and I was happy to be a part of it.
And to have, two people who they'd never experienced anything like it, to experience it, there's that. So amazing.
Boone says this absolutely happened to me a few nights ago. I heard voices yelling like they were arguing, and then my dogs started barking and it stopped. I'm not crazy. I know what I heard. And it was PO'd.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. I don't doubt it one bit, man. You know what you're listening to.
That's what
You've
it
been out on the
sounds
workshops with us before. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. If you guys haven't heard it, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So Bigfoot, Littlefoot, we did have, and that's not terribly uncommon. And it wasn't really an Ohio howl. This was,
no,
it wasn't, because the Ohio howl was that really long carrying.
Sounds like a ghost.
This was not that.
No, it was not. It was not like that at all.
But it was a howl. There was a moan howl kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And the drop off.
Linda Sigmund said, I want to go. Bring it on.
I know. I'm telling you, you're gonna.
Linda, you don't have to get hyper specific, but like, how far from Charleston are you? Just so that way we've got a bearing and that we can actually get together. Um, 50% of all my encounters, I've had a witness alongside. Yeah.
Do you ever think about that, Bigfoot, Littlefoot? I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
like I was literally talking to this person before all this activity happened, and she was just telling me, I'd like to. She'd never seen, Bigfoot, anything like that.
Oh, so Linda's just up in Parkersburg.
Linda's close, yeah. So she's like, well, I would like to have that happen, at some point, and it literally wasn't any more than 5 minutes that literally did, but I think a lot of it has to do with intent. And we learned that at the workshop, at the last Bigfoot workshop. For you guys who were there, you got to see it. You took your notes when Glenn came in and gave his presentation about intent. It matters. I don't know how it matters. I don't know what's out there that can even understand that stuff, but
Yeah. Now some of the sounds tonight, there didn't sound much. There wasn't much snorting. I'm familiar with what the wild pigs sound like. Plus, we don't have any in this specific area. No. There are some in the Four Counties area, but we were one county away from the Four Counties area, and they try to keep them kind of hunted down.
What Spooky say? I was out.
Spooky says, I was out with the dog one night listening to the live show, and the woods around me got very quiet, and I felt like something was watching me. I bet Ron remembers this.
I do remember this. I
felt like I should be there and went in.
Because we were like, oh, yeah, Spooky's about to get abducted.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, Pat even remembers.
Yep.
Scott Holbrook.
Scott. Give him a Sky Daddy and give him a new. No. There you go. I just had to do that.
Paying my dues for being late, dude. There's no dues for being late, brother. But man, Scott, we gotta get you back out here too, man. This was yeah.
And we got to see Starlink. Don't forget Starlink.
Yeah, Starlink. Yeah, so we got to see Starlink too. So guys, just so you know, Starlink flew over West Virginia tonight.
So be ready for those pictures in the morning. And I got to tell you, it got us at first because it was like, wait a minute, because it wasn't that, the bar this time. It was one.
Yeah, it was,
and then another one following right behind it, and it just kept going on for a bit. So yeah.
Boone said, I even called my dad because I thought a fight was going on their property. It worried me. He said he never heard it. I felt like some people are in touch with this stuff and some people aren't.
Well, yeah, there's something like that. Maybe they can sense it more, Bigfoot. Oh, wait.
Larry
Hold up.
Hose,
Larry Hose
keeping
coming
it
in.
free.
Keeping it.
Appreciate you, Larry. You are awesome, Larry. We gotta try to get down here because this is we got to get together and get out in the woods. You and Larry, Scott, and two of us, man. We got to get that happening. So,
What else you got up there? Bigfoot, Littlefoot?
Oh, it's a Bigfoot, Littlefoot. I interviewed the guy in Huntington that had an encounter a few days ago along the Ohio River. If anyone wants to go Sunday to investigate the spot, let me know. We will unfortunately not be able to because we're going to be at the powwow. I interviewed him too. That was a very bizarre encounter, wasn't it?
It was a weird encounter.
I'm working all this overtime so I can get the AGM. There you go, man. That's the money, man. That's where it's at.
Yep.
Joe won't go with me in the woods. He's ashamed of me. Well, I mean, I've never been in the woods with you. The other guys I have been. If you want to come, you can tag along too. I promise to not feed you to Bigfoot.
What?
Yes, look, Merrily. What's up? So we've just been talking a little bit about what we heard tonight.
That's all we can say about it. There's the Sasquatch sighting
right there. Yeah.
Right now.
yeah.
But yeah, guys, we had a blast tonight. It was a great time tonight. Had a really interesting encounter, and I'm almost happy that the cameras weren't rolling. It would have been cool. Yeah, it'd have been content or whatever, but like, I don't know, that tonight was something special, that was cool.
Oh yeah. That was I don't know. I don't think it could have happened at any better time.
She's in.
Yep, absolutely. Once you're there, you want to go back.
You want to go back. You have that experience. Now you've got the pull.
Yeah. And like I've told people before, I think that certain people are way more open to this stuff. And I think that it has to do with just the right frequencies. And like we said, when Glenn was on, the intent, you have to look at it. When we did that Bigfoot, the Bigfoot workshop, right? Everybody had the same intent. They wanted to go out. They wanted to do this. They probably wanted to see Bigfoot because they had been there, right? So I'm telling you, it matters. It all matters when you go in with the right intent. And like he always said, you show peace and respect, And I also believe that personally, the evening hours like that, you have like a time limit, I think, because it's like, okay, this is my time now.
Yeah.
Like it did with us up there at that one. I swear. Okay. Ghost them.
Yay.
You have received the Sky Daddy blessing, Boone.
You have
Thank you so much,
the blessing. You feel blessed. You may now move on.
What's everybody's opinion on the Colorado train Bigfoot? Well, that was the train that runs through Sterling, or Silverton. Sorry, it's not Sterling. It was Silverton, and that train makes a lot of stops, and a lot of fishermen get on and off and go down and fish the river. So even though this was a remote area, this is not an area that's hard to get into, and to boot, it was a costume.
Yeah.
When you can see it when the legs move. It's almost like you can see the front of the leg hit the costume while the back of the leg is still kind of static, and you get that like wishy-washiness in the fabric. Scott said, and we use Joe's tobacco. That's right. We did do a tobacco ceremony there.
Ceremony. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. You guys did do that. And again, showing respect. You're
Yeah.
showing respect, you know. I mean, a lot of the elders think that these were the ancestors. These were the elders, you know.
I thought it looked like a guy in a suit. If it's the same one I saw, yeah. Shane Lorison said, "I'm unfamiliar with the train Bigfoot. It's all over social media right now. Just look up Colorado Bigfoot sighting, and you'll see it on Google somewhere." Dark Square said, "What kind of intent went in the 1981 Rome, Ohio Bigfoot sightings? I wonder, because those folks were using their farms as 4D Bigfoot shooting range."
That would be a good question to ask.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be. What were you thinking?
Then I lived in Rome, Ohio for a period of time too. Is what's fun.
Oh yeah.
So I think the Bigfoot, or right. I think if it was a Bigfoot, it shouldn't have had a problem walking on it. Right? Yeah, this thing was kind of like, where do I go next? Especially wearing a mask. Marilee says, "Can confirm. Very interesting evening. Hello, wild and weird West Virginians. These guys are true professionals. Looking forward to your next project and new data." Colorado clip, total letdown. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I agree. We have to watch these clips, guys, and I'm going to segue over into that future episode again because we saw some really disturbing stuff about AI this week come forward, and I got a feeling that it's going to get worse for us as far as trying to weed through some of these hoaxes. This one was easy. This
Pat
was
said,
nothing.
"I knew it was fake because I didn't get a link sent to me saying, 'Oh my God, did you see this?'"
There you go. Yeah,
That's true.
it's true. We keep you all in the loop when we.
Yeah.
If something really goes down, you all know. If you've messaged us at any point, you know, because you are the peers. We drove this stuff through you guys first, and before we put it out there a lot of times. So obviously it's how it works. But yeah, man. One thing I think we can all agree on is West Virginia definitely lives up to the title that we gave it, Wild and Weird.
Yeah.
And it's not the only place, but definitely it does, though. I mean,
It really does.
Yeah, there's some different stuff out there. And, the only thing would have made the night better for me would have been, if we'd have seen an orb. It'd have been like, well, there's icing on the cake. But, I was looking at some of the equipment there. We had all of our equipment, by the way. We took everything because that's what we do. We take
We
everything.
weren't on an investigation, so none of it was turned on.
No,
we had it on.
It was just there, but
it was a prop.
Yeah, it was kind of for B-roll and whatnot. But either way, but we did get it. A few things to actually power up and got to show how that worked, and got to show them how radiation detectors work and how EMF detectors and tri-field, all that stuff, and the thermal. Obviously.
Yeah.
But that wasn't where all the data was this time. And that's why you take everything, because you just don't know where the data is going to come from.
Yeah, it's true.
It would have been great if we would have caught something else, but we didn't. So I think it was more of a personal experience, and I think it was supposed to happen, and that's my take on this. I know that sounds hooey and wooey to a lot of people, but I don't care anymore because I've seen enough. The data is pointing me in this one direction, and I think that we are dealing with something very, very, very intelligent, whether that be flesh and blood or whether that be something observing a flesh and blood that's out there at the same time. They kind of seem to be going hand in hand at times. There's some weird stuff happening. All right, you guys go ahead, ask a few questions, and we're going to get ready for a spooky story. It's time for a spooky story, I think.
By the way, Angie, thanks for joining us again tonight. I know it's been a long bit. You had to sit and listen to us talk just now.
Oh no, it's interesting. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
Well, Angie's also, fallen into this researcher role as well. And, this is data to her as well, because again, I think a lot of the stuff deals with energy. And I think that's, whatever's out there can kind of sense that energy. That's
100%. That's what I think. It's all energy. So
yeah. I think so too. And I think that tomorrow night's episode is really going to change some people's perspective. And I can't wait till you guys get to see it because it's really good. Okay. Do we have any people questions? Questions? I don't see any questions. Right? We good? Yep. I think we're good. Okay.
Yep. Oh, Boone says I want to hear Joe's first Sasquatch encounter again. I'll just call you and tell you
Yeah, there you go.
because it's long.
It is kind of long, isn't it? But
It wasn't a long amount of time. It was just like I remembered a lot of details, and the reason I remember a lot of details is something that I wrote an article about forever ago called Malleable Memory. I don't have to rely purely on my memory because of all the details that I remember. I can just go back and reread it because as soon as I came home, I wrote it all down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
important.
That is the
smart.
key.
Even if you write it in a secret code that you can't read 20 years later and you have to translate it very slowly, just write that stuff down.
I mean, preferably you write it in a language you already speak.
I spoke it at the time. It's all good. I mean, I can still read it. It's just
Joe is
slower.
squatchy around. Indeed, he is.
Is Squatchy around? Yeah, Squatchy's around.
There you go.
Wow.
This one is going to go live with Adam as soon as I can go meet with him. hopefully before the end of the week. It'd be great. I'd love to get it over to him. But this one is his personal one. He requested a like a gray-haired kind of salt and pepper look, and there we go. So
yeah, it looks really good.
Enjoy.
Really good.
That is the Bigfoot 2.0 statue. He comes in at 11 and a half inches foot to head. So he's
beautiful.
You know, here's a paint stick for reference.
Yeah, he's nice. He's really nice. And he's built. Tony wants to know when was I recruited? For the MIB, apparently.
Yeah, Tony, when you recruited the MIB.
You don't talk about that stuff, man. Okay, I think you're clear over on scary story time.
Okay.
So let me.
While you're doing that, I'm actually updating our Sasquatch project.
We'll get some spooky music here. Ambient, yeah. This one, we'll do this one. This will be good.
Tell me when you're ready.
All right. Okay, here we go. Let's get a little background music.
Okay, I like it. It's not the sad flute you gave to Brandon, but I'll take it.
No.
Okay, so content warning. I think Tony warned you guys. My stories are pretty scary, so hang on to your britches because I don't want to scare the pants off you. But to tell the story now, I've never told anyone this, and I want to say that I feel like this is the one audience it's probably okay to tell it to, because I know you guys are not going to call me crazy or say I'm lying or call the police or anything like that. So, but to tell this, I'm going to have to go back 27 years ago. So you all may not know this, but Tony is not my first husband. I was actually so I was actually married before. And my first husband was not a good guy. So I married Shane when I was only 18, and it wasn't a good situation. I basically married him to avoid homelessness. If you've never been in that situation, I hope you never are, but sometimes a girl does what she has to do. So I married this man, and we were together almost 5 years. And towards the end of our marriage, he had been working at a restaurant. Now his boss, his name was Don, was also not really a great guy. He was one of those people, when you meet him in person, you're like, oh, he seems nice and everything, but like there was an undercurrent of skeevishness that you could just pick up on. And another clue was he was in his 30s and he was married to an 18-year-old girl. So anyway, Shane used to go out and party with his boss and his wife and a bunch of his friends pretty often, and he usually didn't want me to go along because he was a cheater. But one weekend he said that Don and Shelly were having a party and he wanted me to go. And I said, okay, So I went, oh, hi, Ike. So I got ready and we go out to where Dawn and Shelly live. So they live in a trailer park and it's out kind of on the backside of the county that I lived in at the time. So I am terrible at like telling people mileage and directions, but I can tell you like time. So basically, you left town, you went out Country Road A, which was a 2 lane country road for about 20 minutes. And then you turned off of that onto a 1 lane country road and you went about another 20 minutes to like where their trailer park was, which was like back in the holler. Now, it wasn't a big trailer park. There was only about 6 trailers there, and I honestly could not tell you if they were all inhabited or not. But Dawn and Shelley's was a nicer trailer that they lived in. So anyway, so we go out there, and I'm already feeling like bad vibes off of the night because, like I said, it wasn't normal for him to want me to go out partying with him. So we get out to their trailer, and there's a couple cars there, and we go in. And so it's Dawn and Shelly. Shelly had just got there. She had just got off work and um, Shane, of course. And then there was 2 other guys there. I can't remember their names, so I'm just going to call them Bob and Tom because they weren't people that they were just like peripheral to me. They were people that Shane knew. So we're the only people there, and so they're busting open the whiskey. They're drinking. Shelly goes to take a shower because she had just got off work. So she's back in the shower, and Shane brings me a beer. Now, this was red flag number 2 for me because he was not the kind of man that brought you a drink. He was the kind of man that wanted you to bring a drink to him. So I was feeling just bad energy. Just something told me, I don't know like what, but I just like knew that I should not drink that beer. So I didn't. I did the thing where you like put it up to your lips and you kind of act like you're taking a drink, but you're really not. So anyway, so we're there, they're drinking, the game's on. Shelly finally gets out of the shower. I want to say it was about 30 minutes from the time I got there until she got out of the shower, which she works at a restaurant. So, it takes however long it takes. And immediately, like, Don brings her a drink and he's like encouraging her to drink, encouraging her to drink. And Shane was doing the same thing to me. They kept like encouraging us to drink, which was not, like I said, not normal behavior. It was making me nervous. It was freaking me out. So she starts drinking. Me and her are talking. She starts drinking, and she's not knocking them back. She is sipping this drink, and I want to say she gets about halfway through it, and this girl starts acting drunk, like drunk. Now, keep in mind, these are people who party every weekend, so this was hitting her hard, and I'm like, something's not right. Shane comes over, grabs my beer, realizes I haven't drank any of it. And he's telling me, why aren't you drinking? We're here to party. Why aren't you drinking? And again, like I said, not a nice guy. I was afraid of him. I was like, oh, I'm sorry it got warm. So he brings me another beer. And again, I'm not drinking it. I feel I'm like, no, yeah, I'm not doing this. Anyway, Shelly is acting completely wasted at this point, and she's not even halfway done with her drink. She is wallowing on the couch. She's laughing, slurring her speech. Well, the 2 other guys were there, Bob and Tom. They look at each other, and the Tom guy goes, "Man, this is messed up. We're leaving." And so they get up and leave. And I'm like, "Yeah, this is not cool." Well, as soon as they're out the door, Don gets Shelly up and is like, "Come on, let's go to the bedroom." He gets her in the bedroom. I hear the sound of retching. This girl throws up all over their bed. And Dawn is hollering to get in paper towels and all this other stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm out of here. I don't care if I have to walk however many miles in the dark. I'm leaving this mess. So I head out the door. Well, Shane ends up following me, and he's like, yeah, this is messed up. Let's go. So we get in the car. We start driving out the road. Well, I realized, he's been kicking back whiskey the whole time, and I had been so concerned with not drinking myself, I didn't realize like how much alcohol he had put away at this point. He was smashed, like he's barely conscious driving this car. And I'm like, yeah, you got to pull over. You got to let me drive. Like we're not going to survive the drive home. So he pulls over, gets out, gets in the passenger seat. I get in the driver's seat. This is also unusual because I didn't have my driver's license. I'm reiterate again, not a good guy. He didn't let me have my driver's license. So I'd only driven a car like 2 times, I think, at that point in my life. But I was like, it was still going to be better than him driving because I was at least sober. So I start driving slowly, but out this country road. I'm being real careful because it's one of those country roads where like if you're going this way and another car's coming that way, you got to kind of edge over as far as you can, and they edge over as far as they can, and you pass each other slow. It was like I said, it was a 1-lane country road in the middle of nowhere. So we're driving along, and I'm thinking everything's going to be fine. And then I start feeling that choking feeling that you feel in your car when it's running out of gas. And sure enough, I look down, and that needle is buried on E. And I am so mad. And this, however, was not unusual. It was completely predictable out of Shane. It was not the first time he had not bothered to put gas in the car and we'd ended up alongside the road. However, now we're in the middle of nowhere. He's drunk and it's the middle of the night. So I go as far as I can before the car really starts kicking and stalling, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to pull over. So I kind of edge over to the side as far as I can. I shut off the car. He's out of it. He's actually asleep at this point. And I'm like, okay, so my choices are, try to walk back to Dawn and Shelley's, which I did not want to do considering how crazy it was over there, or walk to town, which I think I was probably about 3/4 of the way out the first, like the small country road at this point. And you had to go quite a ways out the main country road before you got to any kind of town. So I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to walk for gas. I figure my best bet is going to be to just lock the doors and wait it out there. When daylight came, we could figure out how we were going to get gas then, and hopefully he would have sobered up. So I locked the doors. I kicked back in the seat. It's actually pretty relaxing. I mean, I'm a country girl. I'm not afraid of the woods at night. I like the night noises of the wilderness and everything. So I was like, this isn't bad. We'll just sleep it off here. So I've got my eyes closed. I'm listening to, the night bugs and the little creatures scurrying about. It's fall, the winds in the trees. I mean, it's pretty chill. And then I hear the sound of a vehicle. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it'll be somebody that'll help us. Or I also kind of wondered if we were close enough to the main road at that point that maybe we weren't as far away as I thought. But no, I see headlights. There's a vehicle coming. So I think, all right, I'm going to kick my hazards on just in case they don't see us, because, sometimes people fly out these country roads. So I set up, I kick the power on just enough to kick the hazards on. Here comes a vehicle with their brightest lights on. And they slow down and they stop about 2 car lengths away from us, and they leave their lights on. So I'm like, well, obviously they see us. I turn the hazards off. And I think, I've been in West Virginia a good portion of my life. I mean, country people, like, they will help you out. They usually got your back when stuff like this happens. So I wait. And after a minute, I hear the car door open and shut. Now, their lights are absolutely blinding me. I cannot see who this is. And I finally see somebody starts walking towards us, but he's completely backlit. And I say he because it did appear to be a man. I mean, he looked big. He looked like he was over 6 foot. Looked like he has a jacket on. That's about all I can see. So I turn around and I grab Shane and I start shaking him. I'm like, hey, get up. Somebody's here. Get up. Well, I let go. He's like stirring and moaning, but he's not really completely waking up. And I look over and the dude is like right here. He is right at my passenger side window, and he's not bent down, like he's just standing there. So I'm basically looking at his waist, and he's just standing there. And I mean, just like the feeling I got was so unnerving. Like, I didn't feel like this was some kind-hearted country person going to help us out. Like, I got major bad vibes off this guy. And he bends down, he raps on my window, and he says, in this voice, I will never forget this voice. I don't even know if I can explain it. It's like a raspy voice. I definitely can't do it justice, but it was like a raspy, I want to say scuttling is the word I want to use to describe this voice. And he says, roll your window down, And immediately I'm like, no, not doing that. I'm like, no. And I try to wake Shane again. He's not coming out of it. He's so wasted. And the guy says again, roll your window down. And I'm like, no, leave us alone. And I just start, I was terrified. I was terrified. And so I just start screaming, leave us alone, go away, leave us alone. So he turns around, he starts walking back to his truck. And I kind of get a little bit of an image of him as he kind of cuts in front of his car, because like I said, his bright lights are in my face. I hadn't thought to turn my lights on, but it looks like, like I said, he's probably about 6'2". He's got a jacket on with a hood up and a ball cap. And he goes back to his car. The car door slams. My heart is pounding. He starts coming towards us. He edges over. He passes us. Now, when he gets up close, I can see that it's a truck, and I'm guessing it's like a red, maybe a brown color. Like I said, the lights other than his were not great. He edges by us. I still can't see him because we're in a little we had a little soft top convertible. So I'm down low to the ground. He's up high. I cannot see who he is. He passes me. He goes on up the road. And I'm like, okay, well, that was scary. It's over. I'm just going to kick back and just try to go back to sleep. So I lean back and I notice that the night noises are gone, which I thought, well, truck comes by. It scared everything. But I'm laying there for probably about 15 minutes and it stays just completely unnervingly silent. And so I start wondering, is there a bear, a bobcat, something nearby that's maybe scaring everything? Like it was really making me uncomfortable. Anyway, so I'm trying to relax. Well, after a few minutes, I hear a vehicle again. So I sit up and I think, okay, now what? So I keep hearing this vehicle, but I don't see any lights. So I kick my hazards on again. So after a few minutes, in the flashing of the hazard lights, I can see the truck in the rear view coming back up behind us, and he's got his lights off. I mean, I don't even see like those emergency lights or whatever they are. You have parking light, whatever they call them, the driving lights. I don't even see that. Like it's pitch, but I can see because of my hazards, the truck is coming back by. So again, he edges by me and pulls up about maybe 2 car lengths again ahead and pulls over and stops. And I'm like, okay, what does he want? Like, there's no good reason for his headlights to be off. Like, if we were on his property and he called the police, why would he come back with his heads? Like, there's no reason. There's no reason at all for his headlights to be off. So I grabbed Shane again. I'm like, I've got to wake this guy up. So I grab Shane again. I grab his arm as hard as I can and I start shaking him. I'm like, Shane, get up, get up. Somebody is here, get up. So he shoves me off of him hard. And I mean, I don't feel like I can overstate how much not a good guy he was. I mean, he put his hands on me many, many times. This was not a surprise either. So he shoves me off. He calls me a cuss word. And I'm like, this is not cool. And I'm like, okay, my husband is going to be no help. So I think I'm going to kick on my lights and see if I can get a look at this guy's license plate, anything. And I maybe need to point out this was 27 years ago. This was the early 90s. So I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't even know anybody that had a cell phone at this time. So there was no phone. So let me just put that out there. But anyway, so I sit up and I think I'm going to kick on my headlights. Maybe I'll start blowing my horn or something. Like I had nothing in that car except a half drank bottle of Pepsi. I had nothing to protect myself with. Except this drunk husband that's out. So I set up, I kick on my headlights, and there's no plate on the back of the car. It's just like a big old Dodge. There's no license plate. There is a tarp over the back of the flatbed. And so I'm trying to look into the back, like to the passenger side or the back windshield of the truck to see if I can see who is in it. And I can't see anybody. And that's when I realized it's because, again, he is right here. I never heard the door open, nothing, but somehow he is standing right there against the car, right by my driver's side window. And I scream, and I mean, when I say I horror movie victim scream, I screamed like so loud, I hurt my own ears. I screamed, I dive into Shane. I'm digging my fingernails into his arm. I'm like, get up, someone's here. I'm screaming. This guy starts banging on my window again, saying that same creep voice, roll down your window. And I'm screaming, no. And I mean, I am bawling at this point. I am so afraid. And I'm shaking Shane, and he's kind of half rousing at this point. He's like, what the, And I look towards the back of this guy's truck, and the tarp is moving. And I'm like, okay, does he have dogs in there? What am I looking at? And then I see legs come out the side of that tarp. Not human legs, spider legs, big ones. Do you ever see those spiders? I've only ever seen them like in an attic, and I've occasionally seen them outside. They're not like furry spiders. They're not tarantula spiders. They're like the slick looking brown spiders, and they get huge.
Yeah,
Only
wolf
these,
spider. It's either a wolf spider or a fisherman spider.
I knew I could count on the DNR guy. Yeah, that thing comes out of the back of that truck. Only it's the size of a bloodhound, and it just slides down the side of that truck and into the woods. And I mean, when I say I'm screaming, I am nonstop screaming. This guy's still beating on my window. He starts beating on the top of the soft top convertible, and I start panicking because I'm like, does he have a weapon? Does he have something he could break my window with? I'm screaming. I hear this other sound, and I turn around, and that spider is on the back windshield of my car. Right at that moment, Shane decides to, I guess, wake up. And so he sits up and he says, What the hell is going on? He grabs, and before I can even say anything, he grabs the driver's side door, shoves it open, and starts clambering out. And I mean, I just absolutely lost my mind at that point, because the last thing I wanted was this guy or this spider in this car with me. So I did not care that I was out of gas. Was not thinking clearly at all. I turned that ignition on. I slam my foot into the gas as hard as I can. My car lurches forward. The lurch kind of half shuts the door, but not all the way. I'm screaming, I'm flooring it. This guy's still beating on the car because I didn't go that far. Lurches forward, it starts rolling forward. My heart is racing. I get up almost parallel with the truck, and then the car just coughs out, just spins out. I reach over, I grab that passenger side door, I make sure it's shut, I slam the lock down, I turn around, and I look out my back windshield, and I see my husband laying on the ground, and not one but two of those massive spiders are on top of him. And I mean, I'm screaming, I'm crying. I spin back around. I think, what am I going to do? I mean, I'm not even sure to tell you I was thinking at that point. But the guy, he's back at my driver's side window again. Only now he's bent over looking in the window. And the lights, like I said, not great. But I look at this man. I turn and I mean, I am face to face with this man. Only this face is not a person, it's another spider. And all I remember at that point is diving over the back of my rear seat and into the floor. And the next thing I remember is the pounding. And I open my eyes and I am like curled up in the bottom of my floorboard, and it's daylight. And I mean, I sit up in a panic. I look out the back windshield. There is no sign of Shane. There is no sign of the spiders. The ground is disturbed for sure. And the truck's gone. So I look to see who's pounding, and there's a man and a woman standing outside my car. They have a little black sedan parked there. They look like normal people, nothing weird at all. And they're pounding, and I'm like, completely out of my mind still, with not even understanding what is happening. So I finally get out of the car, and she's like, "Are you okay? Or, do you need help? What can I do?" And I'm like, "Yeah, my abusive husband left me here last night, and I think he roofied me and another girl back at a friend's house. Can you help me get my car back to town?" So these people, they take me, they get some gas, we gas that car up. I drive slowly, but I drive it home. I didn't report him missing right away. Eventually his job wanted to know where he was, so I did make a police report at that time, but I just said that, that he'd left me there, that we'd gotten a fight and he'd left me there after the party because he didn't want me to leave. Anyway, I never heard from him again, but there was something in the news, and I've saved it all this time. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on here or not, but I made a copy of it so I would always have it. Let me see if you can read that or not. Can you read it?
Says Wood County man discovers a large raccoon. Oh, Governor Caperton report 19% increase in number of stock.
That's not important. I'm talking about the picture,
Down
dude.
here.
Oh,
I'm trying to get it where you
large
can see.
cocoon.
Cocoon. I thought I said raccoon. I'm sorry.
No.
Can you see it?
Wood County man discovers large cocoon. Yeah.
So yeah. But anyway, Tony's top shelf husband, nothing like him.
Well, that's good. Thank God.
No, that was a story. That's good, Angie.
Thanks.
Adam
That
Good
is
said, so you've
really
witnessed the
good.
spiders as well.
Oh, now look what you did. Jeez.
Man, that is a wow.
That's a good one. I like it.
Now I have one more that's 100% true. If you want to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, let's go, and then we'll hit these questions.
By all
Okay.
means.
Oh wait, did they have questions about that first?
No, there weren't questions about that. They were just questions in general.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right, so I do. So this story's 100% true.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, this story's 100% true. So I grew up with this girl named Mary, and she started dating a guy named Dale, and Dale was a necromancer, and this was back in the 80s. And he was into all the occult things like tarot cards and Ouija boards and all this stuff. And he like taught her how to read the tarot and how to use all these different divination tools and all this stuff. And she in turn would like show me all these things, but he made her swear she would never do it if he wasn't around. But we totally did. So I was in junior high at the time. If there's anybody young on here, that's what middle school used to be called. And we used to go to her house. So her parents were divorced, and she would go back and forth between her mom and dad's house. Now, her dad's house was the best because that was like the house that you went to when you didn't want any supervision. Her dad was super cool, but I mean, he did not supervise us at all. Anyway, so he had a girlfriend, and he would sometimes stay at his girlfriend's house. And she also had an older brother who lived there. But a lot of times we were not alone in this house. And I actually contacted her a few days ago to see if she remembers this as well, to make sure I didn't forget anything. And she 100% did, because one of the first things she said was, wasn't it weird that we were alone that night? Because we were almost never completely alone in her house, because like her friends being over all the time, her brother's friends were over all the time too, because that was like the party house. Anyway, so this night we're alone and we broke out the Ouija board. Well, actually, I need to back up. We had this Ouija board out several times. We had been contacted or had been speaking with an entity that we had spoken to this entity several times, and we'd asked it to spell out its name. Now, I won't say its name, not because it bothers me, but like some people are really freaked out by Ouija boards, so I won't say the thing's name, but it spelled out its name, and it always consistently spelled out the same name. Anyway, so one night we were there alone and we're messing with the Ouija board. And I always kind of wondered if she was doing it, like if you used a Ouija board, like, I was always kind of wondered if she was making it say all this stuff, because she was really, really into it. I was a Baptist at the time. But anyway, so I said, we need to ask it something to prove that it's real. So she says in reply, okay, well, let's ask it to make the phone ring just one time. And before the words are even out of her mouth, the phone on the wall rings just one like weirdly long ring and then cuts off. Now, keep in mind, if there's any younger people on here, like back in the 80s, a phone did nothing but make phone calls. They did absolutely nothing else. And they were on the wall, or, I mean, you might have had a long cord, but in general, they were on the wall. So this was a phone hanging on the wall behind where we were sitting. And I mean, I whipped back and looked at that phone. I whipped back and looked at her. I mean, her face was white as a sheet. And we closed the Ouija board immediately. We put it away. And we even left her house. Like, we were afraid to even stay at her house. We left and went for a walk. And then we like sat out on the porch until her brother came back, because we were so afraid. And I did not use the Ouija board again. She might have done. I don't know. But I was done at that point. But that 100% did happen.
Wow.
Ouija boards are sketchy, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. There's something different about it. That I know there's a lot of people who are like, well, EVPs, instrumental transcommunication, it's all the same thing. No, there's something different about that. And I don't know what it is.
A lot of people that are not afraid of other divination tools are terrified of a Ouija board. And I was not really afraid of it. And to be honest, I'm not really afraid of it now. I mean, because that entity that we spoke to, I guess, I mean, nothing bad ever really came of it, but it did scare us with the phone, because like I said, there wasn't cell phones. It wasn't like she could have texted somebody and said, hey, call right at, 9:15 or whatever, I mean, it was really, and it was not a normal, like, how your phone rings, it's like not super long. Like the ring was held out a little bit. It was really strange.
That
It was
is odd.
I've actually heard one do that before.
Yeah,
where they
I have
ring,
too.
and it just it gave a weird dying
It just
sound
rings.
at the end when it rings.
And like you're like, why is it ringing this long?
Yeah, it was creepy. Definitely creepy.
Yeah, that is.
So back into the questions area,
Merrily.
Marilee asked, aside from military, what other job profession often report Bigfoot sightings? Loggers, longshoremen, police, the postman. So like postman delivery people, UPS, USPS, all those guys. I said the fishermen, right? Like coastal fishermen, specifically up in like British Columbia, that area.
Yeah.
Then let's see. People who just work in the forest, mostly. People who work in the forest or out near wilderness areas. Those are mostly the professions. And people who are driving consistently through rural areas. So your delivery men. Then Tommy said, so question, I was out squirrel hunting last weekend and ran across a huge pile of acorns, like 4 or 5 gallon buckets full piled high in the middle of the white oak tree grove. Do Bigfoot eat acorns? That is a very viable food source. But if you're finding that much of it piled, that is a very common baiting tactic for deer. I know people who not so ethically hunt because of where I grew up. And it is not uncommon for them to go around collecting large mass quantities of acorns and nuts and dumping them in a site that they plan on revisiting later while something else is either looking for more food or coming back to a pile of food that they've been to collect an animal at that point.
But do they eat acorns?
Yeah, they do eat acorns, without a shadow of a doubt. Like I had one, Ron was with me. I had one that was all still wet, slobbery thrown
That
at
wasn't
us,
an acorn.
and it hit me.
That wasn't an acorn.
It was a black walnut.
Dude, that thing was huge.
It was a black walnut, but still it's a nut.
Chewed and nasty. Ugh.
But yeah, everything that walks on the
Gross.
forest floor pretty much eats acorns. It's for what they are. They have mass and it's calories. So yeah, I'm gonna say yeah.
Yeah.
Then Tommy says, I assume they would. For the life of me, I can't figure out what else would do that. It was in the middle of nowhere. No hunters are allowed there besides myself. It's a remote access road. I would bet you have some poachers. I would look into it and be a little cautious if I were you.
Be careful.
Then Jolie Bug joined in. Sorry, we're just now getting to you. And then Ashley Hilt is here. How you doing, Ashley? Then everybody else is commenting about the spider and set it on fire, kill it with fire, run over it with the car.
You had a good story there.
That was a good one.
You got him. You got him good.
Bob Clatworthy, next time you go into the woods, give me a call. Will do. Tonight was a unscheduled for like it. We weren't going out there to investigate. We were there doing an interview. So
we're doing that Ambassadors of the Paranormal gig.
Yep, doing the whole Ambassadors of the Paranormal thing. Mike Hacker, I've had several experiences with Ouija boards. Well,
feel free to tell them.
Feel free to let one of us let us type one of them up if you want.
Yeah.
Pat says I need a young priest and an old priest. And then Julie says awesome story.
Thank you.
Tony says, speaking of unethical hunting, you ever hunt deer with dynamite? I mean,
asking for a friend.
Oh man, I don't see it working that well. I mean, are you doing it like what's the guy name with the handlebar mustache, the red handlebar mustache that was on Looney Tunes?
Yosemite Sam.
Yosemite Sam. Are you sitting like Yosemite Sam over there in the woods waiting? I'm gonna get them, wow, and like detonate it when he hits the food pile.
It's more like Wile E. Coyote kind of a tactic. I
Yeah,
don't
you're
know.
more like Wile E. Coyote, yeah, because you detonated on the food pile. Now you have ballistic acorns shooting at you all over the place.
Oh
Oh my
my
gosh.
gosh.
Jeffrey Byers.
Wait, what?
What?
Jeff, are you here? Or
Jeff.
is that a doppelganger? I think it's a doppelganger.
This is our brother from another mother that we need to get on a live show.
Jeff Byers? Are you seriously here? For real? That's not
I
like
mean,
a cloned
that
account.
ugly mug is unmistakable. Look at that. That's Jeffrey.
Looks like him. Is this AI
Jeffro.
trolling us? I bet it's AI trolling
It's
us.
me. It's me.
I don't know.
Jeff, man, I don't know if you heard earlier, but we had a pretty interesting experience when we were out doing an interview tonight prior to coming on the show. It was wild. We'll have to fill you in on that if you missed it. And Pat's like, I hate that deer. Oh man.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
That's called quick barbecue. Yeah.
Oh my
You can
gosh.
scrape it off the wall and eat it.
No.
But yeah, Jeff, we need to schedule you and get you on here. I know that
Now's a good
your
time.
personal schedule's starting to loosen up a little bit, and
Come
we
on, tell a
want
story
you
if you
out
want
here
to.
with us in the forest, man.
But yeah, wow, what a, yeah, I don't know. So we're getting onto the whole spooky season, right? And we actually just did a thing out there at Mysticon last weekend with my presentation, and I kind of blended a lot of stuff together as one does with a lot of this data. And what? Take an Army field phone and give the fish a call. All righty then. So I was looking at the some of the data that's starting to come out, and what's interesting is people are starting to figure these things out, and they're kind of echoing stuff that was already said back in the day, because Kenneth Arnold had his sighting of UFOs, right? And a lot of people think they were flying saucers because that's how it was described, etc. But that's not exactly how it was. According to him, they weren't like that at all. They were changing shapes, and they seemed to be, bright lights, like orb type kind of things. And we hear so much about these orb type kind of things still to this day. Matter of fact, almost all the saucers are gone. They're orbs again. They're balls of light. They're circular, metallic spheres, as Arrow likes to say, I guess. But
Right.
yeah, and they may or may not exhibit some waveforms, according to what they were saying, which means that's interesting because it could be messing with your brain and making you see anything.
Sarah Ramsey says, "Hello, what are we talking about tonight? I'm just now getting on. We were doing some spooky stories earlier. We were
stories.
recapping from some of the events earlier tonight, and now Ron is telling us about another spooky thing."
It's not really spooky. It's just, a way that people haven't really looked at things for a very long time. And now they're looking at it again and they're thinking, oh, well, this is new. But it's not new. This has happened before. Because, Kenneth became quite a researcher on his own.
Yeah.
And his end result, his end data started pointing him in the direction that we're not looking at flying saucers, nuts and bolts things. We're dealing with something that's related, in his words, to the afterlife, that's related to the spiritual realm, that's related, not in demons and so forth and so on, but when I say related to that, I'm talking about that's how we interpret these things, but it's related to life after death. He thought that basically those orbs that we're seeing, that's us. That's the we. That's the we that used. That's what we used to make that phone call, Angie. That's what I was getting at the other night. That energy, and that's what he kind of came up with. Was like, well, that's just the way that we travel when we're not in our body. And it's such an interesting thing that it was completely overlooked back then. I mean, Valet, of course, looked at it, and a few other things. And we chased the flying saucers away. Yeah, Tony, you're right. We did. Um, and now we see these other reporters, and these other researchers. They're all kind of going that way now, that this is possibly where it's at. When one just has to look at Whitley Strieber's take on the whole thing at this point,
Yeah.
and he believes that very much the same way. And I can confirm that it does mimic the same kind of behavior, simply because you are dealing with the same methodology or dealing with the same modality of, um, um, oh, what is it? Like the out of body experiences, the near death experiences. These things are almost all cookie cutter things, or they all have these commonalities to them. And either way, you're dealing with some form of intelligence. So maybe, who knows? Like I called it Space Ghost. That was a little joke, but not really, because maybe that's what some of these things are. Maybe they are space ghosts. When you see those orbs, for lack of a better word, we don't know what ghost is, right?
Right.
We've talked about this
Right.
before. So, it could be an intelligence, an entity, of some sort, and that's how it is. What
Speaking of intelligent entities, Tommy Swigger here has anyone a believer in Project Bluebeam? I'm just now reading about this, and I truly don't trust the government anymore, but this seems out there.
It's out there, brother.
We've had to cover Project Bluebeam quite extensively in the past, and we've touched it multiple times here on the live, and we agree with you, my friend.
Yeah. You'll figure it out, though. I believe in you, Tommy. And if you want to know more,
he's got a good head on the shoulders.
Yep.
He's doing it the right way, and
yep.
Like if you we actually talk about it in a few episodes in the past. Ron has linked to them in the
There's
past.
links,
I'm sure
yeah.
if you leave messages on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll find you a link.
We'll shoot you the links, and you can go listen to it, because we go in depth about how improbable it is, even though we don't trust the government either. It's just
Oh, that was funny, Ashley.
Yeah. Tommy, that really is how we got Sky Daddy McConaughey.
It is. Yeah, you'll get the true origin. I'll find it, and you'll get the true origin story of Sky Daddy as well. And Sky Daddy has, man, we have manifested, haven't we? Because if it wasn't for Sky Daddy, the show wouldn't be on the air, guys. That's amazing. That's what a community can do.
True.
It rallies around made-up heroes.
I accept a lot of conspiracies, but Bluebeam is a bit much. Yeah.
You guys are our people. What can we say? It's just how it is.
Well, guys, I unfortunately am going to have to go ahead and hop off here. It is a school night, and I got to help get the kids ready for bed. And they're getting a little rowdy upstairs. So
they getting a little antsy on you?
Yeah, getting a little antsy on me tonight. So I'm going to have to go ahead and hop off here. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Stay wild and weird, everybody. We love every one of you. I love every one of you. And you guys have fun with the rest of the show.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the party going for a little bit longer, and we're going to see what other kind of fun stuff we can come up with. I'm going
to tune in. I'm still going to be watching, just so you know. I'm going to.
So y'all can't get by with anything. That's what he's saying.
Exactly. So I'm watching. I got to hop off. Love you guys, and until next time, stay wild and weird for me. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, it's almost like it was a ghost sound there. I see what you did. That was Spooky Joe. That was Spooky Joe, everyone. Off to wrangle kids. So, questions. Anyone out there got questions, got experiences, something you want to tell, something you want to talk about? I believe we had one that was submitted here. Let me find it. If I can find it again. Oh, yeah. Here it is. So from Spooky Appalachia, actually. He sent over a story, and it's a short one. But let's see if I can pull this up here. Okay. Yeah. So he has this story that he sent over, and it's a possible woman in white sighting that was done. It was sighted during the 2020 lockdown times, and it reads something like this. This story is a bit special because it happened to me. I've been a little reluctant to share some of my own odd experiences, but after talking with so many people who have had experiences, I do feel a little more comfortable sharing now. See, that's how it works, guys, just like this person did that wrote in. This happened early one dark and rainy morning during the COVID lockdowns of 2020. I can't remember when it was exactly. I know it was still cold out and near the beginning of the lockdown. There was an emergency at work that I had to drive in for because I had been working from home for a few weeks and had been out for a while. While driving, I never saw a single car, likely because of the lockdown. I was stopped at a stoplight when out of the corner of my eye I saw a woman in a paper thin looking dress walking down the street and into the park. I remember thinking, well, this is odd. It was cold, rainy, and still dark out, so a woman in a thin dress with no jacket did not make much sense. I looked up at the light again, still red. Then I looked back for the lady, and she had vanished. I could still see further ahead of where she had been, and there was no trace of her. I kept driving, and later it dawned on me. I should have gotten my phone out and recorded it. It would have been a cool thing to capture. And there you have it, one of my own ghost stories. I've had a few others that I may share over time, but this one is definitely pretty interesting than the most recent. I agree. There's a lot of people who have spotted this, this lady in white or woman in white kind of apparition. And as Joe would tell you, that's also been captured and cited with the Bigfoot phenomena for some reason, and no one knows why. So, any of you other guys had any cool ghost stories out there? How about you, Angie? Had any cool ghost stories of late?
Not lately, but I have the one that I know I told it to you at the paranormal group before, but it still is. I mean, I don't think I've ever told it on here.
No,
But
no, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
this happened. Now this. Okay, so I do have an ex-husband. That's true. Okay, but
That much is true, everyone.
but anyway, so when I was married to him, we lived in this apartment, and we actually had several weird things happen at this apartment. But the thing that happened that was really just bananas was one night we were in bed, and I've got to explain how this apartment was for it to make sense. So it wasn't really an apartment; it was a duplex house, and there was an upstairs apartment and a downstairs apartment. And the way it was set up, like you came in at the downstairs and there was steps immediately in front of you that led up to like where our living area was. And then on your left hand side, there were two doors that were padlocked on both sides because the landlord had not bothered like making that over into a wall. So what I would guess is when it was one whole house is those doors probably led into a living room and some other room. I don't know. But anyway, they were padlocked on our side and also on the other apartment side. So our entrance was down at the bottom of this stairwell, and then we lived above that. So our bedroom was right beside like where the stairwell came out into the apartment. And we heard our door open one night. And I honestly thought, because a friend of mine had been staying with us, she had been like looking for an apartment and living with us in the meantime. Plus, he had a lot of friends that would like show up drunk occasionally and crash on our couch. So for someone to show up wasn't that weird, but they didn't have a key that I knew of. So we heard our door open and shut. And so we both were awake in the bed when it happened. So we get up and we go to like the top of the stairwell, the landing, and look down. Now, the only light that we had was the light upstairs that we had turned on. And then we had a porch light outside. So the area where we were seeing this person was not super well lit, but it was well lit enough from the ambient light to see someone. So there's a man standing at the bottom of our stairwell, And it is like, I didn't know this at the time because this was like back pre-internet. I didn't know that anybody else saw these, but it was like what they call Hat Man. I mean, it was a man with like a dark coat and like a hat on, and he was all dark, like you couldn't see his face or whatever. And it looked like he was like looking up at us, and then he turns and he goes through one of those doors that were padlocked. And from what it appeared to us, it looked like he opened the door and went through it.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're still thinking at this point, is this a person, you know? But we immediately like rush down the stairs, turn our lights on that were down at the landing area, and the doors padlocked. Like nothing has changed. It's still padlocked. And we inspected like the whole area there to see if there was still some way to open the door, and there just wasn't. So, I saw what I saw, and I mean, my ex-husband saw it too, and he was not one to believe in paranormal things, so it was kind of a big deal that he saw it. I mean, for a long time, he argued that there must have been some way for someone to have walked through that door, but I mean,
Nope.
there really was not.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's pretty wild.
Well, that gets you, especially if there's a physical thing involved
Yeah.
as well with the jiggling of the, or the door.
Yeah, we heard it.
That's,
We heard the door open
yeah.
and shut, and it looked like he opened the door, and it looked like it opened into the other apartment, like it didn't pull out. Oh, look, there's Joe. But anyway, we
That's weird.
it was very strange, and we actually had other weird things happen in that apartment. Specifically one, and this was something else that other people witnessed. Our friend was at the house, and we were all sitting in the living room, and we had like an entertainment stand that had a television and a stereo next to it. Now the stereo was, it was the early 90s, and so it
Yeah.
was like the big old stereo with like the tape deck that you had to like push the
Hmm.
button down to make the tape play.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there, we're all sitting there watching a movie, and we're all facing the same direction. Me and my husband were on the couch, and our friend was in the chair. And like suddenly, like the tape deck presses down, and the cassette starts playing, and we had it up loud, so it like blasts into the room. But I mean, and immediately our friend was like, "Did you see that?" Because we saw the
Wow.
button go down right in front of it. It was Danzig's mother, interestingly enough. But anyway, yeah, and the other thing that happened there that was weird, which was less, it was still pretty weird, but like every morning, everything in our bathroom would be in our bathtub. Like all the shampoo, soap, conditioner, hairspray, every item in our bathroom would be sitting up, lined up in our bathtub. We had an old clawfoot tub. We didn't have a shower. So I kept like all the stuff over by the sink because there wasn't really anywhere else to put it. And
Yeah.
every morning it would be lined up in the tub, and I always
Oh,
asked
wow.
my husband, "Did you do this?" And he was like, "No." So it was a lot of weird stuff there. We didn't live there. We only lived there for a few months, and we got out of there.
That's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. But it happens. Sarah, we would get phone calls when our power was out on a cordless system. These were in the middle of the night. No way the phones could do that without power. What's
Did you
that fall
answer?
under, Angie?
Yeah, did you answer? That's a haunted phone. Did you answer?
Right?
Was anyone there? That's what I would be interested to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you answer it? She said, we got rid of our landline phones after that. And after that got out of hand. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And Boone left. So, Boone, thanks for coming by, bud. And we will see you in Crypticon. Um, yeah, that's pretty crazy. But when you get those experiences, when you see something that you can't quite explain, and you rationalize it in your head, you try to figure out, well, wait, that has to be this, that has to be that. And then when nothing comes back, right? And you have to really accept the fact that you just saw something that, yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit into the natural order of things.
Does not align with your worldview.
There's a lot of this, and there's that shuts some people up. And I think that's one of our biggest issues. We have these people who are made to feel inadequate. They're made to feel they have to second guess themselves because they've had these experiences, and they shouldn't. There's no reason to. And my favorite thing to tell people is, it just doesn't matter if anyone believes you or not. Just tell your story. Don't take it personal when they say, "Oh, there's no proof of that." Well, that's fine. There's no proof of a lot of things, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. You're not really trying to make someone believe anything. There's no amount of evidence that I can get that's going to make anyone who doesn't want to believe. So I really don't care. This is for those people who are seeking answers, and they've had those experiences and they're afraid to talk. And there's nothing more rewarding, I think, than someone who has never told a story to someone who just sits down and starts telling you this story that they've never told a single soul. And that has happened so many times since I've been out on the road, since I started going out. That's amazing. I had someone ask me this on something this past week. What was my what was I to gain from what I was doing? All of this. What have I gained from it?
I've got to have that experience since having the paranormal group.
Yeah.
People will come and tell you things. Like I even had, since I started advertising in the paper, I actually have people will email me because my email's in there and tell me their story. And they'll be like, I never told anybody this, but,
Yes.
and they'll share it with me. And
Yes.
it really feels good to be taken into their confidence like that.
Yep. It helps them to open up, and it helps them to realize, look, I can talk. I can tell these stories. So my response is basically, the experience is my payoff. That's what I get from it. It's certainly not, we're just making millions of dollars. Yeah, we're not. If it wasn't for you guys who come on here and help support the show, or go out to the shows that we go and buy a couple of our little trinkets and stuff, that's what keeps us going. That's all this is. I mean, this is where it goes. It goes back into the show. It goes back into the outreach and giving you guys some cool stuff, like I said. So that's why we're sending out these little things to everybody who goes over was it over $10, I think is what I did. I'm going to send these out. So everybody who did do that, make sure you send your address so I can get these out. I've got to get all these together and get them out this week. I want to get all these things mailed out to you guys either this week or Monday. So that way they can all go out at once, and you can all be amazed when you get them. No, I'm kidding. Has anyone seen, Mike Hacker wants to know, has anyone seen something like this? Past 2 nights, I have been seeing this Gaint ghost dog running around the property, something that's about the size of something off of Harry Potter. Wow. Nope, not a ghost dog. Nope, not me. Anyone else? Hellhounds, definitely a thing, Mike. I've never seen one, but others have. I've never seen one. I'm good not seeing one. That's the one I'm good not seeing. Yeah, you're right, Adam. The whole Skinwalker Ranch thing, there was some big dog things out there. I will say this, though. We were at the TNT area. It was last Halloween, actually, last trick or treat, I think it was. And we went down there with a friend of ours, and we were just doing a little photo shoot down there. I've showed it before, and just taking some pictures in the bunkers with the Mothman costume, version 1. And while we were there, we kept hearing all these dogs, and they sounded like they were getting closer and closer, and it kind of freaked us out, so we left. But I mean, I think there's somebody who runs coonhounds down there. I don't think it was anything, like that. But, that definitely did make me a little uneasy when I heard those dogs. I don't jive well with the dogs, if you know what I mean. So it's more like a, like a werewolf form, a Lupin's werewolf form. There you go. Yeah. Let's see. Tommy? Seen a coyote sitting by my barn, opened the door to scare it off. It ran toward me and then turned into an Indian and vanished. Now that's a story. That might be something right there. So, yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Extremely. And Jeff had said, in his experience, the hellhound was keeping the evil on the property like a guard dog. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never had any issues with anything like that. The
Somebody, I was going to say, somebody came to the paranormal group a long time ago and told a story, and it involved dogs. I don't remember if you were there
really,
or not, Ron, but it was somebody had country property and they'd seen some kind of large, I guess, ghost dog. I can't remember the details of it, but
I missed the first one,
yeah,
and I missed
it might have
there was,
been.
I think it was two more that I missed because I was at a show on one, and then something else on the other. Or Joe's. Yeah, I didn't go to the one that Joe was doing because I had something else going on too.
I know who it was. I'll have to see if she'd be interested in maybe sharing
Yeah,
the story a little more.
yeah, yeah. There is that smoke wolf legend. Yeah, that goes on where out there where we did Wood Booger. So I don't know. I don't know about that. There's some people who say that they see something out there, and it's a dog that stands in the road. They've actually come close to hitting it or have hit it, and it just turns into smoke and vanishes. So I don't know if that's a real thing or if those kids made that up. In the school, it's who knows. It's hard to say. But that's what they call it. They call it the smoke wolf. They asked us over and over about that thing. No, haven't heard of that. Well, folks, you got any questions left at this point? Because I'm just going to plug tomorrow night's podcast until you post a few up. But we're very excited because we do have an incredible show that will be premiering tomorrow evening. And it is the phone calls from the dead, the full experience, not just a little teaser.
Friday.
And wow, it was a very interesting show. It will definitely make you think. I think we went in multiple directions with it, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely explored a lot of the
Yep.
potentialities and possibilities of what these phone calls mean.
Yeah, I think we did. I think we went. I think we did the subject pretty good, is what I'm saying. I think we did a really good little job on the show and gave it a little justice. Mike Hacker. I've seen a Bigfoot turn into a deer before on a delivery. Bright marble red eyes driving down a road. Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff out there, guys. White dog's one of the many types, in the Appalachians. White things, etc.
Thanks, Adam.
Yep, there's at B, episode 168. It'll be tomorrow at 8 is when it'll come on. I will be here in the chat and, taking questions and whatnot on that. I think it's like an hour and a half long, something like that. So we went over some good stuff. Like I said, it's a really good episode. And I think you guys are going to like it. I think you're really going to like it. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot from that episode. Plus, you get to hear some spooky stories, spooky real stories
Yeah.
from even me. I even tell a few exclusive stories there from my past. So you'll get a little more background. What question would burger made from a dynamited deer be safe for consumption?
My husband needs to go to bed.
I don't, Tony, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, you
probably.
should know that one, I think.
It probably would be okay. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't advise anyone to do it, to test that theory, but it would probably be okay. Well, folks, have you had fun tonight? Let us know. Please take time to let us know in the comments because, that helps the algorithm. And the more people who, see us, the better off we are because the bigger we grow our community. And I love our community because our community is made of people who have open minds, people who are, all about learning and as well as okay with having a little bit of fun every now and again. And there's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of fun every now and again. We can be serious when we're investigating, but when we're, not in the field, let's have a little fun. Let's keep it, keep it happy. God, dear friends, not food. Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's beyond great as always. Well, thank you, Julie. Enjoyed the show. Yeah, if you like the show, like I said, just take time and go over there in the comments on the show and leave us a couple of things after we're done here. Um, so we know what we're doing. I mean, if we know that you guys like something, we're going to keep doing it. You know, awesome, absolutely awesome. Had fun hanging out with y'all. Awesome, Shane. Thank you very much. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Always a great show, informative and a little trick. Yeah, a little trickery, right? You like that little trickery, Tommy? I thought it was good. She's good.
And I find it really funny that like Joe didn't even catch. You do realize that's Joe in the picture, right?
Oh my gosh.
So it's funny that y'all was talking about Bigfoot. I must have had a premonition because this is the picture I took at the Bigfoot workshop. I just cropped out the other people
Oh
and threw in the
wow. I can
cocoon.
see it now. I can see his hat. Yeah, I didn't see the hat. That's
Y'all,
hilarious.
but no.
That. Yeah, that is great. I love it. I think she gets credit for just that story, guys. I don't know. What do y'all think? You tell me. Yeah, I think she just won the story probably of the whole season, spooky season. I'm pretty sure. I'm checking my cameras now. Anything strange, I'll send it. It was clever. Yes. I was rooting against the ex-husband.
Good, Tommy. You should have been. You should have been. Maybe this wasn't so much a story as a fantasy. I don't know, but
Oh, that was
he's still
hilarious.
yeah.
That's hilarious. Speaking of which, next, yeah, there it is. Next week, I think we're going to be trying a new segment on here, possibly if I get time to do it, and I think you're all going to have a lot of fun with it. So be looking forward to that. It's going to challenge your mind. And how many more of these we got? Let me try to look here. Let me look at the calendar because this was number 4, right? Yeah, I think. Yeah, spooky 4. Yeah, so 4. We got one here. 1, 2. Oh, we got a few. We got a few coming up, and then next. Yeah, next week, right? Yeah, next Friday's episode of the podcast, Ashley Hilt will be joining us, and that's going to be a really good episode. That's going to be another one that makes you think. Definitely going to make you think, and it's going to be a fun one. So we're gonna we'll see if we can con her into coming on for a couple minutes on the live here on this show and saying hey, and give it a shot too. We'll see. We'll see. And who else do we have? Adam, what you got? Do one, Julie. Do a 1 true story and 2 lies. Guess which is true. Julie, get out of my head because it's going to be harder than that. I promise. It's something like that, and you're going to love it. All I can say is you're going to really enjoy it. And if you like the show, Is It Cake? You're going to love it. That's what I'm going to say.
Mm.
Yep. Speaking of which, just wait. Just wait. Just wait. I've been playing with different ideas now, so yeah, it's going to get good. Oh, awesome. Yes. Well, there we go. So Ashley will be joining us as well next Thursday. So you guys get over here to catch that because that's going to be a good one. You better bring some spooky stories with you. That's all I can say. Got some spooky stuff. I'm sure we can make up, we not even make it up, just to kind of remember a couple things and scare some people with that. But what? Who wants more Ramdo? Oh, you guys. Anyway. All right. Well, folks, is that all you got? You got any more questions? Because if not, we're going to call it, I think. I'm going to go over here and check our analytics as we always do and see how this little show played out for you guys. How many comments we got. All this stuff helps to keep us going, you know. So let's see what we got here. Oh, well, yeah. Well, you're about 200 and you're at around 260 or so on comments, but that's to be understood because this was a listening kind of episode, and that's always good when you're telling long stories like that and people are paying attention. They're not asking questions, they're actually paying attention.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Because they were trying to figure out there's no way this is real. And I wonder how many of you guys out there were like Googling stuff. You don't lie to me. Tell me you were. I want to know before we go, how many of you guys went to Google and was trying to look up, do spiders really get that big? Because I've got a feeling there was some of you who did just that. I got a feeling. Well, silly stories are fun too, Ashley. Don't worry. We're pretty much open to all that. What'd you say? I was late, so I'll go back and listen later on. Or there would have been 300 comments. Thank you, Ashley. Hey, you were late, so you didn't get to hear what had happened prior. So yes, you need to go back and listen because something happened tonight, and you'll get to hear the full story on that if you didn't catch it when we were out in the woods. It's very cool stuff. Matter of fact, anyone who didn't get to hear that, go back and listen because it's quite the thing that happened tonight. It was really cool. Yeah. I came in the middle of the story and was like, what the heck am I hearing? Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. Maybe we need a little disclaimer at the bottom, like, it's story time.
Yeah.
So they don't have one of these War of the Worlds kind of reactions to it.
Like there's big spiders in Wood County, everybody.
Right. I can see people like, oh my God, they just said it on the podcast. Get out there. There's giant spiders. Congratulations. We just did our own little version of War of the Worlds over here. H.G. Wells will be proud. Spiders. This is how creepypasta do. It's a new cryptic. Imagine the ratings. Yeah, that's funny. You're funny. Giant spiders. No, it would be Spider. Well, we already have Spider-Man, so we can't do that if we get sued. So, I think Marvel's got us on that one.
Yeah.
They nailed that one down pretty tight. So, all right, folks, I'm going to call it. This has been a wonderful, absolute, incredible evening. And what, Tommy? No, I'm stopping, Tommy, but I'll read it. My grandpa used to tell us about a Rubber Man classic West Virginia story. Oh, my God. You have to send it to me. That's all I can say. You've got to send that. Spider thing.
There we go.
There it is, spider thing. Y'all watch out for the spider things out there. Anyway, guys, what was going on? I'm trying to think. Yes.
I think you were wrapping up.
I was wrapping it up, but the show. Yeah. So tomorrow night, 8:00, be here, 8:00 p.m. Eastern, and catch Angie's episode. It is absolutely an awesome one, and we do talk about some incredible stuff on that, and you are going to love it. And of course, you know me, there's probably going to be some alien talk. It's just what happens. What can I say? It's to be expected. But no, it's a really fun episode. Angie, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was
thanks for messing with people's minds. That was awesome.
You're welcome. Anytime.
That was amazing. I thought it was probably one of the cleverest things anyone's done on the show at this point. So you got points. You guys who are planning on being on here, that's what you got to live up to. So good luck with that. That's going to be a hard one to beat, I got to tell you. Everyone else, I'm not the person who gives you the cryptid endings. Cryptic. I said cryptid. Look at that. I got the word wrong in the other way around. The cryptic endings. So I'll leave that to Joe. He's very good at that. I'm going to leave you with something else. I want to thank you guys for coming out here and joining us for a couple of hours, getting away from the craziness that is our actual modern world. That's what we like to do here. It's okay to have fun. Remember that. Try to have some fun. Try to do something nice out there if you can. I mean, it helps. Just little small things. Little small things. Share someone's, page. Go over and support someone. Spooky Appalachia's over there. Ashley's over there. Anybody else that's over there? Who else over here has a page before I go? Anyone? Anyone of you guys? Pages, or social media. Go out and support some of these people. And by support, I mean, all you got to do is hit a little share button. That's it. Share. That's all it takes. You don't have to give them anything. Just share. That's all. I'm getting my thing here queued up so I can make this work. All right, guys. Until next Thursday. No, yep, Thursday. Yes, it will be Thursday because we do the pre-recorded show and then we do Thursday. So it'll be Thursdays till you see us next. Until then, my friends, everyone stay wild and weird. Keep looking up. If you see anything, please contact us. You know where to reach us by now. wildandweirdwv at gmail.com for the mail. And then just wildandweirdwv.com, and you'll have some sightings reports over there. You got a little tab you can click on and report your sighting there, and we'll add it to the data sets. Guys, thank you so much. I am going to call it evening, and we will return at 8 o'clock back to our regular time next Thursday. So, I won't be as exhausted at the end. Everyone, take care. Thank you all for being here. And watch over your shoulder. You never know when there's going to be a giant spider there or something. Apparently.